All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
This is the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Good morning. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with Pat Savani, my husband, fellow realtor.
Good morning, Jackie. How you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
Very good.
All right. We have with us for the second week in a row, Scott Frazier, owner of Infinite Interiors. You are an interior designer, and we welcome you back this week. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm incredibly happy to be here. I'm excited about the topic we're going to talk about.
I am too. And we always enjoy our time.
We always enjoy our time.
Yes.
We've done these shows before, and it's always been a wild success.
Yes, always. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where we discuss real estate. We have a full-time real estate office with many relentless realtors. We have been guiding, assisting, and advising clients in real estate matters for 50 years.
50 years. Wow. During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you're at jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab. We have a webcam on the roof there, and we get thousands of hits a month on that camera. Everybody wants to see the traffic go by at Dunmore Corners, I guess.
Well, it's
this time of the year.
to this time of year that the weather becomes questionable.
Yes, it does.
So what I like to look at the webcam when I'm at my home, before I head out, is I like to look at the webcam to see how the road conditions are.
Oh, yeah, that's a really
Don't
good
say the word.
Don't say that
four-letter word
No.
that I hate. But I look and see what's going on
Yeah, we
and
should
how
move
people
to
are.
El Paso.
Yeah, you should move to El Paso.
All right. View our listings, search the MLS listings, and listen to archive radio shows by going to mobilefriendlyjruddy.com. That's JRUDDY.com. And look us up on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. Scott Frazier, owner of Infinite Interiors. You are an interior designer for 20 years.
I am an interior designer for 20 years.
You got your start at Ethan Allen?
I did many, many years ago. 20 years ago.
You spent a long time there.
Long time there.
More
over
than a
decade.
Yeah.
And then I was at Penn Furniture in Scranton for a couple of years, and then went out on my own.
All right. So last week we talked about trends.
We did.
Interior design trends.
We did.
We had a phenomenal discussion.
We did have a phenomenal discussion with some great tips, I
Oh,
think,
excellent tips.
that I hope people wrote down.
All right.
Because I'm not repeating them.
All right. Okay, so this week I thought we should talk about, we're all spending an enormous amount of time in our homes, whether we want
Yes.
to or not. It's the environment we live in. And a lot of people are working from their homes.
They are.
So, the line is getting blurred, between work and home, and it's no longer separate. It's all in one. Our kitchens have become our workplaces.
Yes, our dining rooms have become our new office.
Yeah, so these
many
are
of us have children also who are home doing the same thing, whether they're in
remote
elementary,
learning,
high school,
yes.
or in college.
Right.
And everybody's home. So that has really changed the needs of what the interior of the house now needs to function.
So a lot of people are finding themselves in their homes, spending a lot of times, and they need to pick me up. They need to feel better about their space around them. They want some balance. They want some peace. They want some serenity. And then they're finding their homes may not be as big as they need, or, the space requirements are limited. Not everybody has the budget to do a 2-story addition out back or to buy a new home.
Correct.
So let's talk about things they can do to make their environment at home a little healthier, better for them mentally, emotionally, and physically.
One of the best ways to address what we're dealing with now, right, to help evolve that space so that it is more aesthetically pleasing, right, so that it's more, it helps keep your mental balance on point, right? Because I think that's, what people are struggling with now because your home's so much. I think one of the cheapest ways to address that is through the color palette because you can change paint easily. But I think in terms of picking colors that before you pick anything in reference to this topic, it would be really, really smart for the consumer to go online and look at color studies and see the way different colors affect your mood, your activity, that kind of thing, because they actually do matter. And there's been extensive studies on this topic for years. about what a color will do. Like green is more institutional, but green will also calm you because it's serene, and it also helps develop focus so you can stay on task. Strong, vibrant colors, if you did red walls or something, or orange, could create more activity and it could actually pull you off focus. Now, as we know, gray is a big deal. So you can use gray, but then you might want to spin it with a dose of another color in the space to help create a more cohesive, serene, but you also want an active space. You don't want it to get too serene, because as we all know, when you're sitting in front of your, say, Zoom call for 2 hours, your eyes might start to get heavy. So you need some more visual activity in that space to keep you stimulated.
So when you run a Zoom business call, you shouldn't be sitting there drinking a glass of wine? Is that what you're trying to...
No, that's straight liquor only, Pat. Not wine. That's straight liquor.
In the coffee mug.
Yeah, the coffee mug. Like a gentleman in a coffee mug.
Don't pop the cork.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So achieve it through color.
Achieve it through color.
And this is on your walls and in your space. So, okay. So last week we did talk about some new colors that are trending. And so you don't suggest fire engine red in the bedroom?
No, it doesn't create a calm space, that's for sure. It can be used really well. Years ago, I had a red kitchen and I loved it. But it wasn't fire engine, it was more barn red. But, and I loved it. But that's a good room for a color like that. There's a lot of activity in a kitchen. It's the heart of the home. Anytime you have company, where do they all end up? Always in the kitchen. So that's a great space if you do like a warm color like that. In a bedroom, it can be really tough. That's a sleeping environment. You really want to move to softer tones. Again, tones that are more serene or
calming,
or like in a bathroom. Like if you notice when you go into a lot of salons and spas, they're painted muted blues and muted greens, and there's a reason for that. And it's because those colors are calming,
soothing,
and they're serene, and they make you calm down. Because when you go into a salon for whatever you're going in for whatever treatment, that they want you to feel very calm in that environment. That's why they're painted that colors. So really take that idea and bring it into your home, into a space that you want to make calm, and then also put things around the space, family photos, or just things that you like, things that you enjoy seeing. Make sure they're in your sight line when you're in that workspace, because it's going to help you stay there, I think, in a happier headspace if you can see those things, that you enjoy.
So, before we started the show, we were talking about the open floor plan, and that has trended, and people want it. They want that open floor plan in a home, and they got it.
Yeah.
Now that we're stuck in the home, we talked about this a little bit before the show started. The open floor plan, the voices carry, the televisions, the volume carries through the house, especially if you have wood floors and you're totally open.
Yep.
So you have, your child in class, you're trying to do a business call and so on and so forth. So what can we do there?
In that respect, I think that it's important for everyone, if there's enough space, to try to find their own space. So that way you're not out in the big open room. You're not in the open floor plan part of the house. If you need privacy, then you have to find your own space, which could also lead you to, Ruddy Real Estate and getting a new house because you might need more space. Because, again, with those open floor plans, they were great when we had lives that were more active and more outside of the house. We would come home in the evening and that was great. But now that everybody's in the house all of the time, and it's going to be that way for a while, it can be problematic. So there are some smart things that I think you could do to utilize your existing space, which would be multifunction. We see a lot of people, your sunroom is now your office. which is actually a great space to do that in, right? Because you can see
You
nature.
can connect with
You
outdoors.
can see
Yeah.
connect with
Okay.
the outdoors. It's a great space to move and make into an office space. If you're really, really stuck for space, you don't have the extra room, you can't add a room. One of the things I see, and you're going to see this trending now, Murphy beds have come back in a huge way because you can now have a bedroom, but then lift it up and it goes against the wall, and now you have an office space. So that room is now multifunctional. So there's a big trend in those, they're coming back in vogue because of what we're all dealing with now, in the current pandemic. They've become a more sought after item.
One of our agents utilizes her lower level now. It was an unfinished basement,
Yeah.
but what she did, and it was like, that's where they put all the things, those storage things. You put in storage you think you're going to use again.
Yeah.
Cleaned it all out when we got shut down in March, cleaned it all out, and then transformed it into, still has the stone wall and the concrete floor, painted it, brightened it up, put some lighting down there,
Yep.
put a desk. And now she utilizes that space as a home office.
Right, now it's usable space. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, that could be, I guess, a silver lining in part of the situation is people are doing things like that, right? They're clearing out spaces that were really just used for storage or spaces that were really forgotten. Now they're starting to utilize them as part of a living space in the house that they use more often.
Yeah, people are getting creative, right?
They are.
And they need to.
Yeah, they
Right.
certainly do.
With us today is Scott Frazier, owner of Infinite Interiors, interior designer. How does someone get in touch with you?
Well, they can reach me at my cell, which is 570-933-0495, or you can reach me by email, and it's scottfrazier1970@gmail.com.
Okay, so one of the shows that we talked about when we talked about bringing balance and harmony and things like that into the home
Yes.
is feng shui. We think about
Yes.
feng shui. So there are things that we can do, metals, woods.
Right. Open pieces of furniture, so nothing really solid. So slatted pieces, which are really on trend right now with the whole boho look, right? You see people transform things and things that are a little more zen. So again, an openness, like maybe a slotted headboard so that the energy can flow through it, things like that. But that also has a really calming effect as well. And a smart use of mirrors. Mirrors are a big deal in feng shui, where they're placed, what they do, what they reflect. But the other positive part is, especially like in the basement that you mentioned, that basement overhaul that your friend did, you want to get some big mirrors. And I mean, don't run out and get get big ones. You can really open up that space, and any available light is now going to be bounced around that room and recycled. And you're going to open up that space and make it just a better, more usable, aesthetically pleasing space. But go big. Don't get scared and think, oh, it's too big. And then you get a small mirror because you've now made a mistake, which is why, the help of a design professional is key, because we can help steer you down those roads to put your money in the right place and not put it in the wrong place.
Good. All right. And so a couple weeks ago, we had a medium on, and she was talking about energy.
Really? That's
Yes.
awesome.
Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
did.
I love it.
Yeah,
And
it's
she
cool.
was talking about energy in the home and shifting that energy and
Yeah.
how to shift that energy and some of the scents to bring in and the aromas to, to spark whatever,
Right.
calmness. And sometimes, you need to focus. And there was different things that she suggested. And there's the elements that you can bring in, the water, the metal, the wood.
Right, rocks.
And rocks and things like that to bring the outside in and to achieve that balance.
Achieve that balance and live in that positive energy flow, which is really the goal. And I think, bringing better, again, scents are a big deal. So I love the idea now, because one of the other, I think, spin-offs of what we're dealing with in this current pandemic, people are home cooking more than they ever did before.
Yes, and unloading their dishwashers
Yes,
more than ever before.
Every
Once
other day.
it
every other
was
day.
once a week.
Oh, it's all the time.
It is all the time.
I turn around and I go,
every day.
that's full again? Like, yeah, all the time, all the time. But I think one of the great things that you can do, which I love and I'm a fan of now you can put like a small herb garden in your kitchen. Do a little container garden, right? But the great thing about that is you can smell it all the time in the kitchen. You can smell the basil. That's going to awaken your senses. But the other side of that is aesthetically, it's pleasing. Your eye likes to see that type of thing. You brought some nature in, but then you get the scent that you're looking for. So I think that's another wonderful thing you can add into your kitchen space.
Nice.
And I think a lot of people are doing more things like that now.
And you don't need a lot of space to do that.
You do not need a lot of space to do it at all.
Anybody can do that.
Anybody can do that.
All right. All right. Cool stuff. Scott Frazier, owner of Infinite Interiors. You're an interior designer for 20 years. We love having you on the show. You have awesome tips for our listeners and for us.
Oh, I love coming here every time.
We're going to a break, but before we go, Pat, would you like to review a listing, please?
Yes, we have a half double. It's a large 3-bedroom home at 1729 North Sumner Avenue in Scranton for only $54,000. You can own this home now for less than you are paying in rent, and you can build equity. This home it's got a nice sized yard. It's got 4 rooms downstairs and the 3 bedrooms upstairs. It's got a walk-up attic for extra storage. The bathroom, it's a really large bathroom with a skylight. It has a first floor laundry, lots of closet space, and a covered front porch. That's a half double 3-bedroom home at 1729 North Sumner Avenue in Scranton for $54,000, and that's listed by Cheryl Zeinall of our office.
Don't go anywhere. You are listening to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. We'll be right back.
What can a Century 21 agent do for you? They show your home, solve your problems, and pet your dog. They provide the service of a butler and the savvy of a business tycoon. They explain the market, love a good barbecue, and never drink milk from the carton, so invite one over. They do your homework, legwork, and sometimes yard work. Basically, they provide some TLC to YOU. This is who they are. This is what they do. Century 21 agents. Smarter, bolder, faster. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Hi, this is Jackie Ruddy from Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Is real estate on your mind? It's on ours 24/7. Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or in need of an appraisal, you have questions, we have answers.
Thinking of buying or selling a house and have questions? Tune in to the Real Estate Roundtable hosted by locally owned and operated Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 11:30.
Call 570-344-6724 or visit jruddy.com. That's JRUDDY.com.
You're rejoining the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, and with my husband, fellow realtor Pat Devaney.
And we're back.
We're back with Scott Frazier, owner of Infinite Interiors.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be back to have these conversations.
We love having you. We always get some good stuff regarding interior design tips and what's trending, what's going on, what's in, what's out, all that good stuff. Before the break, we talked about moods and colors and how the colors of the paint, the walls that surround our daily living in our bedrooms, in our home, have an effect on our mood. It is directly linked.
Yeah,
and
it is directly linked.
You started to talk about multifunctional pieces in the home, and we're going to continue that conversation. I think, this pandemic is forcing a lot of people in their homes, spending a lot more time in their homes than they ever did before, for good, for bad, whatever. That's up for debate, and I'm sure time will tell. But the resiliency of the human spirit to overcome these times, and there's always been challenging times throughout the history of life. There are new things that develop.
There are new things that develop, and I think even as difficult as these times are, there can be a bit of a silver lining every now and again that, you discover something new about yourself or your house that you never would have discovered, right?
Birth of new ideas, new discoveries. Yeah. And so that's what we're going to talk about the second half of the show. You see multifunctional pieces popping up. Where you talked about it in the first half, where else are you seeing these multifunctional pieces?
Well, I'm thinking one of my favorite pieces that I'm seeing these days is the convertible island. And if you don't have a large kitchen, and right now, because of the current pandemic, I think everyone would love a large kitchen because we're all spending a ton of time in there. So if you don't have a large one and you can expand it if you have budget constraints or something like that, or maybe...
Many do.
Yeah, and maybe a construction restraint, right? You can't take a wall down, it's load-bearing. all those things. You can bring in one of these islands, and it would be about 18 to 20 inches as it stood every day. But then it has a drop leaf that you can lift and pull out the gate legs, and you could pop stools underneath. So you have a larger either prep area or extra space for company or morning coffee or to do your work or your Zoom call all in that space. And then when you're not using it, drop the leaf again, and it drops down to a little, 18-inch island, which can fit in some of those can even fit in a wider galley kitchen. So you get a lot of function out of that. And I'm seeing pieces like that start to come into play now because people need a lot more function out of their house these days.
Love it.
I love it too. And they look great, and you get to add a piece to your kitchen, which is wonderful because it can really kind of give it a whole facelift by putting in another piece of cabinetry like that. And then the integration of stools.
I don't like the idea of being stuck with something.
And you're not stuck with it. That's the great part. Some of them are even on wheels. You can roll them in and out of the room if you'd like to. Lock the wheels, of course. Especially if you're having soup. But, you know what I mean? Lock the wheels. But
don't forget.
Don't forget.
You'll be wearing it. Okay, so a lot of people have walk-up attics. They throw up, their decorations.
Great space to evolve.
They just throw a box up there and turn off the light and go back downstairs. Right. It's dark, it's dingy, and creepy.
It's a great space to evolve. One of the things you want to do is if you're lucky enough to have a window or a dormer in there, really, choose, a treatment like a Roman shade or whatever it is, but have it be able to lift off that window. So don't mount it on your window frame, kids, mount it above it. So that way when you pull it up into its traversed position, you've exposed every inch of light into that space. And the light's really needed up there. Attics can be really dark. So that's a great way to bring in as much natural light as possible. And then you want to light it correctly, of course. 3-point lighting again.
Let's
ceiling,
review
eye
that.
level,
Okay.
and
very good.
Table height.
All right.
So ceiling, floor lamp, table lamp. And one of the other things that I've seen, which I think is really, really smart, and please Google it because I think anybody interested in not just interior design, but evolving their house now in our current situation is going to love them, is an egress window. So it looks like a skylight in your room, which there's another benefit. You just put light into the space, but you lift up the skylight and you push out the bottom section of the window, and you can actually walk out onto it. It's a really amazing thing. It's called an egress window. I encourage anybody who's thinking about evolving their attic into a usable space to look into it.
Look into that.
Yeah, it's a little more costly, but the benefit really, really outweighs the cost.
Sounds very intriguing.
It is really interesting.
Yeah, very. Okay, so boredom. People are home. They're getting bored.
They're getting bored.
All right.
They've Netflixed as much as they possibly can. There's nothing else left to binge watch.
They don't know what else to do. And it's reflecting in their mood.
Sure.
And so they need to pick me up. Have any advice?
I love the idea of taking on a home project, which I think a ton of people are doing right now. But I think mentally it gives you a lift. Anytime you update something, you evolve something, you make it better, it gives you a mental lift. And I think that's so important right now. It's so important. People are getting stuck in a rut. But take on a project, redo a room, paint it, refurnish it, add wall treatments, right? Like do picture frame wainscoting or beadboard or shiplap. Like really evolve the space. It'll give you a project. It'll give you something to stave off the boredom. And then at the end of the day, it's a win-win because now you have a beautiful new space to live in. So I think taking on a home project is a wonderful thing. And it doesn't have to be big. You don't have to move walls. You don't have to do all those things. You can just change some paint colors and pick up some new upholstery or some new pieces. And if it's a budget constraint, start to utilize things like vintage shops. That we have some great ones around in our area where you can pick up a coffee table for $60.
Did you say table?
I certainly did, Jackie Ruddy.
There is my green light.
There it is to go. Run with this ball, Jackie. I think
She's got a table problem.
Huh?
She's got a table problem.
It's been
Don't
established
go to-
before.
I don't define it as a problem unless it's clinically diagnosed.
There you go. Thank you,
It's
Fraser.
interfering with my life. She goes to On and buys coffee tables.
Because
No,
they're
I'm only
great. But the great thing is you can grab those and you can give them a great fresh paint job, right? Which one of the things that I've saw that I think is really cool, but you can only do it with one statement piece. Don't go crazy with it. But they're doing pieces with automotive paint. The end result of that painted piece is it's a showstopper. It's a showstopper. It's a little more money because automotive paint's
very expensive.
But
You've gotten his interest all of a sudden. Did you notice this?
Yes.
Well, I know how to
'cause
paint.
Right, there you go. And I
Cars,
brought up an
houses.
automobile reference. So my working this way might get you a table.
All right.
It might be
Who knows?
fire engine red, Ferrari red.
It might be Ferrari red, yeah.
Okay.
But
Oh, God.
doing that, the piece is really a showstopper, which is also why, word to the wise, little tip here, kids, only do one. It's like animal print in a room. If you have one good dose of it, you stop. Don't do a
Because
center.
people can overdo it.
They can overdo it.
And then
you
go,
don't want to do that.
No.
A statement piece is exactly that. It is a statement piece. So it's supposed to call attention to itself. But you don't want to throw it all over the room because now you've overdone it and the piece isn't a big deal anymore.
Right. You can do all of these things without spending a ton of money.
Yes,
You cannot get a contractor anymore. Contractors are few and far between.
Yeah.
They are rare as unicorns now. You can't get them.
And many of them are interested in big jobs.
Right.
Because that's where the business is and that's where the money is.
We had
anybody
a
can struggle to understand that's why they're doing it.
We had a contractor come in and we asked him for a price on something, and he gave us the I don't want the job price.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like an 8x10 door. It was like almost $6,000. I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
See you later.
8x10 door. That'd be $47,000.
It was a sliding door outside, a barn door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we could do it together and save a lot of money.
But yeah, that's exactly the reason why he did it.
Yeah.
But so I think things like that, like grabbing great vintage pieces like that, you want to look for straight lines, things that are easily adaptable into a new environment. Sometimes if it's too scrolly and curvaceous, it's not going to move into that new environment, especially now, like, mid-century modern's a big on-trend look. It's come back into a whole new life. But if you get one of those great vintage pieces, you can give it a new life by putting a great coat of paint or maybe a glaze over it, to bring it forward. But you want to keep those clean, straight lines because they're going to allow it to move into a new space.
On and On is a vintage
On and On is a wonderful
It's a
shop.
great place. That's down on Capouse Avenue next to the National Bakery, and there are friends. And Megan Pasamato is an agent with their office, and they have a lot of vintage pieces.
Thousands and thousands of feet.
It's amazing what they have in there. Like the things that people have kept and their condition. I'm always awestruck by the condition of the pieces. Because
they
some
don't
of them
sell
are like
garbage.
they're like freshly unboxed.
Some of it is.
Amazing.
Some of it is.
It's really, really great.
With us today is Scott Fraser, owner of Infinite Interiors. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
You can reach me via my cell at 570-933-0495, or you can reach me by my email, which is scottfrazier1970@gmail.com, and that's for Infinite Interiors, changing the world one room at a time. Jackie Ruddy.
Love it, Fraser. Thank you for 2 weeks of
You're most
fabulous
welcome.
discussion. We had a great time with you. Pat, would you like to review a listing?
Yes, we have an adorable 3-bedroom ranch-style home. It's at 135 Keene Street in Moscow for $179,000. Wow, this home's been freshly painted. I don't know what color, but it's got new flooring.
Neutrals.
Neutral. It probably is. The beautiful kitchen. It's got granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. It has reasonable taxes of less than $2,700 a year. It's got plenty of off-street parking and a detached one-car garage. That's a move-in condition, 3-bedroom ranch-style home at 135 Keene Street in Moscow for $179,000, and that's listed by Connie Seagrave of our office.
Thank you, Pat.
I want to wish all our listeners a very happy Thanksgiving.
Join us next Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. to listen to more of the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker.